Welcome back, people, to Here for the Dads podcast. It's your boy, Meyer Craw. Happy New Year. It is 2024.
It is.
So there's only one person I can really think of that I could not start the new year without, and that is my wife.
Better be the only person. I'm like, what?
I was like, let me word this right, because I don't think I started this conversation off right. But we've had, this is your third time on Here for the Dads podcast, right?
Yes.
We did like a Mother's Day one. Then we did in season 2, you came, it was just us two. And we ended on a conversation that we started
and said we weren't going to get into
until you got back.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're back.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I think it's important for us to get back together and have this conversation, because we had a very, everybody had a very crazy start to the new year. It's all type of stuff in politics going on. You got Cat Williams having long interviews going in and on people. You got the Epstein list. You got a bunch of crazy things going on in the beginning of the year. And I think it's still important to worry about what you got going on in your own house first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we did.
Clean your house.
So we're gonna talk about what we did to start the year off and make sure our family was together and kind of share that with a lot of different people. And I also want us to have conversations about what that looks like for us, because we're going to be going through some transitions, and I want to be able to help other, families who are also going to be in transition. But first, I want to start this conversation off with how we ended the last one, which might be crazy for some people because it might be a little spicy topic.
Mm-hmm.
But let me not be rude. Introduce yourself once again for the people who have not heard you on season 1 and season 2. And if you haven't heard her on season 1, season 2, you might want to go back and do that. But go ahead, baby.
Yeah. First, you said the first time I was on it was Mother's Day. So that means we're quickly approaching like year 1 of a full year podcasting.
I would snap right.
Yeah. That's good because a lot of people start stuff but can't and don't get consistent.
Yes.
But I am Tiana. I am his wife. We have been married for going on 8 years. I am a stay-at-home mom right now, author, and I chase around 4 little humans all day. I call myself a homemaker because I'm raising the children, getting them to all their things, but still taking care of the house.
Stay-at-home mom, is that an identifier? When people ask you, like, hey, what do you do? Is that what you say?
I don't. I say I'm a homemaker.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's old school for some people to say. Yeah, it is.
But so I started saying it only because I was filling out an application for one of the boys' school, and they asked my occupation, and they never have stay-at-home mom, but they do have homemakers because there are still people. It is a historical term, like an old school term, but it is a job. It's an occupation, homemaking.
I don't want to get in trouble for this because I'm just gonna go out and say it, but I don't want to get in trouble. It is maybe the moms will come after me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for saving me from babbling, because this goes right into the conversation that we were having on the last episode. Last time me and you were talking, it was about stay-at-home moms. I think that they put homemaker there, their old school term for it, because they were looking for something synonymous to what might be considered stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. But a lot of what I'm hearing is stay-at-home mom saying, I am not the homemaker. That is not my job to do. And I understand for some, it's like, it's not my job alone to do. But is that wrong or right for somebody to think that that should be expected if you're staying at home?
Well, I should preface this with, okay, I left a career in the Navy. So I was on a career route to actually become, I was career oriented. So I haven't always been a stay-at-home mom. So I think my perspective is different. So I had a professional job and I was doing, I was doing work in the Navy. And then we made the decision for our family for me to stay at home with the boys during one big transition. But I think I can understand that perspective of I'm not the homemaker, because it is a shared role. It can and should be a shared role. I don't take care of everything in the house. I simply manage it.
Okay.
I tell who needs to do what.
I was about to say, yeah, no, you definitely be
I
doing
tell
some
y'all what to
telling.
do.
Yeah.
When I need help, I am quick to vocalize it, because this isn't just my home. This is our home. This is stuff that's important to all of us, and this is how to keep us a functioning unit. This isn't just my home. This is your home. I'm not the only one that needs to eat. You need to eat too. I'm not the only one that needs clean sheets. You need clean sheets too. So I simply organize the chaos, and I divvy out tasks based on people's um, capability. Like Avery, he can't take the trash out.
I wish you could.
But he can find the trash can. He can find the trash bag and bring it to me. Same thing as I can replace the toilet tissue. Why am I shouldn't be the only one. They can flip laundry. So I simply manage the task. So I think sometimes when people hear the term homemaker, it kind of can have a negative connotation, because you can feel forced into taking on the whole burden of the house when that shouldn't happen.
And the reason why I'm not having trouble with what you said, because I agree with what you said for the most part. It's just how do I say this? I want to make sure I'm saying it right too. I believe that both sides could be equal, right? Nobody wants to come home and be like, "Oh, I go to work, I do more to you. All you do is stay at home and you don't do nothing," because that's not the truth. I stayed at home with the kids by myself before for multiple days at a time while you were at work, and I quickly understood everything you were talking about. It is not an easy job, and people get paid to do it. So when people say being a stay-at-home mom is a real job, I believe that. What I find challenging is when you have people who don't want to treat it like a real job, if I should say it like that. I feel like there's so much tension around that, right? So if you tell me maybe I need to do better or do more to get a promotion to be able to provide for the family, right? Like I will feel that pressure. Why is it so hard when a husband or a father comes home and they're like, I'm expecting that these certain things are done, or I'm expecting, that the kids are learning this. And it's not saying like, hey, this is a responsibility of yours alone. We should still be helping with that. But if you're treating it like a job, I can get fired. I'm not gonna say it the other way around. I'm not gonna say the vice versa, because I ain't trying to get slapped in here. Yeah, I'm used to having Sonia here. Is it Kiara or Kiara? Kiara. I'm not trying to get beat up in here because I got two ladies in here. But I'm just trying to have a real candid conversation about just that and just shared responsibility. All of it.
I think it makes it a timid conversation, because on your job you have annual reviews, or when your evaluation is coming up, so when to expect somebody to critique you. So it's normally only one if you did something real bad, somebody knocking on your door saying, hey, fix this right here, right now, Kmart. Yeah. Fix it right here. Or you're like, okay, well, for you, it's the end of the year. January's coming up. My evaluation's coming up. You're expecting to sit down with your boss and go through things. As a stay-at-home mom, we don't have those annual reviews. And sometimes it can feel like you don't do this, but I feel like a lot of spouses or partners could come home and like every day is a new critique. And it's like, one, you don't even know what I've been dealing with all day. You don't know how the children are, or if you don't even have children, stay at home spouses, those exist. Yeah. You don't know what I've been dealing with all day, and here you are day after day coming home with this to say and that to say. I think that is a standard that for us, we have weekly meetings. So if there's something that I'm doing right, and if there's something I need to correct right here, right now, we talk about that. But you don't come home every day saying, why isn't this done? This. You come home and you're like, okay, well, first we talk throughout the day. So if I'm having a rough day, I'll send a quick message being like, hey, look. Or last night, when you worked last night, I said, hey, I didn't get to downstairs. Sorry. In advance. Yeah. I will prep you to let you know, hey, it was a rough night. have some grace.
Right.
That's my word, have some grace. And that way, if you step over something, you're like, okay, it's not
fall down and die. Or something like that, yeah.
it's never that, but it's the idea that you don't pester me every single day. I feel like as a stay-at-home spouse, that it could quickly turn into that, because if you don't have those annual reviews or those times to sit down, we sit down once a week so we can discuss, hey, this didn't go too well last week, let's fix this. Or, hey, we have this coming up this week, I'm going to really need some extra support. I think that is something that could make the role of a homemaker challenging.
And because it's all wrapped around marriage and how you communicate, period, too, right? Because nobody should be just straight up pestering the other person, because I'm not your boss. You know what I'm saying?
But some people don't see a homemaker as a job. It's not a job, but it's a job.
No, yeah, I got that.
It's a duty.
I got that. And I also think that, and this might be a little bit not off topic, but I guess pivoting a little bit around what I said on the last episode, was I don't think that every person is fit to be a stay-at-home parent. I think sometimes the decision gets made solely because of finances or selfishly. Like, you may say, I want to have this time with my child, right? You try to keep them home as long as you possibly can. And it's because you want to have time with them. Right. In all actuality, they could probably be doing something or being in a place that might be better suited for them. Like, if you know good and well you don't have the time or the space or the emotional attention to be able to do that with the kids, maybe you aren't the best person to be doing that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who, choose otherwise, mostly because they want to be selfish. Sounds kind of harsh, but I think that's what it is. And I don't think people look into that too much.
I think it could be considered taking the easy way out. I don't know if it's selfish, because normally people, until you do it, you don't know what all staying home entails.
Right.
So it could be the easy thing. Oh, sure, I get to roll out of bed. I don't have to get dressed and drive somewhere to work, or I don't have to click on the computer all day. I don't have to do that. So staying at home, I say, it could be the easy way, because
or perceived to be the easy
could
way.
be perceived to be, because I can stay in my pajamas all day if I wanted to. I don't have to leave the house if I didn't want to. There's certain things that I don't have to do because I don't have a boss that is dictating every minute, or hopefully not every minute, but I don't have a boss telling me what tasks need to be done. I have little people that are looking up to me.
Yeah.
But they can't really verbalize, hey, you need to go do this. Then I look at their cues and know what needs to be done. But if I didn't want to, hopefully, if I didn't want to, I didn't have to get dressed during the day. But it is what I found out works for us, and it helps me shift out of the, oh, I'm just home. I get dressed every day. We leave the house once a day. Yeah. Like, I stay at home, but I don't stay at home. Like, we're doing things.
No, I think that's very important that you kind of put me in the mindset of what that looks like, because it could be extremely easy to get comfortable because you're at home and you stop remembering that this could be time where you could really be pouring into your children at the same time. And this is speaking for not just stay-at-home moms, or stay-at-home dads as well, right? Or anybody who chooses to stay at home, because we've had conversations about homeschooling, and I had a conversation with somebody else this week. And that's something that I really want to dive into. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more. But let's keep talking about the stay-at-home parent a little bit more. What makes it, what's the biggest challenge in staying at home, do you think?
I think the biggest challenge is feeling pressured to do it all.
And is that pressure you're putting on yourself, or is that pressure from the outside? Can you go into that a little bit more?
I think it's easy to like have a never-ending to-do list being a stay-at-home mom, because
stay-at-home parent.
Stay-at-home parent.
Yeah, don't forget about I'm here for the dads, baby. What's going on now?
Because there are dads who stay at home.
Absolutely.
We have a friend, a good friend that we know, he stays at home. He still works, but he stays at home with his daughter. But I think being at home, like, one, it's challenging because you have the potential to never leave home, never leave the comfort of your home, which is hard because then that means it's always dirty. Um, People always need to eat. You always have to go grocery shopping.
Mhm.
Like, you always have to do laundry. Like, there are always things that just need to go on, things that need to happen. And there's a list that, like, things that are getting filed away, and you're like, man, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that. Whereas if you're going to work, you have a list of priorities. So there you go. I think it's hard to prioritize staying at home because if you don't have a structure for your day, your days and nights go like that, and you can never catch up. And I think that is something that's hard about being stay at home, is if you don't have any structure, you can lose sight of your days, your weeks, your months, and slowly feel like you're just underwater because you can't catch up.
It makes more sense to me now why I see so many of the Facebook groups and why the stay-at-home mom influencers have quickly gained such a like great following, because when you're talking about like staying at home, it's so easy to feel like you fell behind
Hmm.
or that you don't have this to-do list, that there's not much accountability if you're there by yourself and there's no guideline.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why I also appreciate you talking about this now too, because like as a father, our spaces don't look like that often.
Hmm.
And it would be, it would be helpful to see that a little bit more for the stay-at-home dads. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So I'm glad that you're bringing that up, because you want to know, where do I find this routine? Like, where should I expect to see a guideline for things that it should be expected? Because we also had the conversation about what you think that you should know before getting into elementary school.
Mm.
And I don't think we saw
Yep.
eye to eye on that.
Yep.
And maybe it was, let's talk about that, because
Okay.
we have educated friends, and our educated friends, I would love for them to weigh in on this. Talk about what your idea it should look like. Like, what
Yeah.
should it look like?
So I should preface this that I did get my master's in education. So I am a teacher. True and true. Like, that is who I am. And probably why um raising little children is so easy for me, because I wanted to teach. It's always been me. Um, my idea of starting, so the conversation was starting kindergarten. Is there
Mhm,
anything that you should know how to do? And I believe that you should know your ABCs.
mhm,
I think you should know how to, unless there's a delay, like a diagnosed delay, or something that is going on with the child medically. I think you should be able to know your ABCs
mhm.
verbally. You don't have to be able to. You can see and recognize the letters that are in your name, and then your numbers up to 25 or 30. I think that should be standard for kindergarten.
Before coming to school, no matter what.
Before coming to school, I think you should have that.
And I'm saying, and to me, I mean, it doesn't sound far fetched, but why do you think that's important?
I don't think you need to write. Like, you're not right. You don't
Right,
have to
right.
write, but I think that
I'm saying,
starts
share
the.
why you think that's important at
That's a
least.
good foundation, because you're starting kindergarten. Some people are 4, most are 5 when they start kindergarten. Even if they didn't have preschool or any of that stuff, the idea is that you are going places with whoever is entrusted to raise you, your parents, your guardians, aunts, uncles. You're going places, you're going to the grocery store, so you see numbers. You might not know what it is, but you are surrounded by letters, you're surrounded by numbers and everything.
Right.
Children are in front of the TV a lot. Like, these are things that are foundational to who we are as a people and how we learn how to communicate. So that is the building blocks of reading and learning how to effectively communicate. They already know how to talk, but now let's add into how to read and write. And I think that it's important so that teachers aren't forced to now have to teach 20 students. Most kindergarten public schools are 20 students to
Mhm.
one teacher.
And I think the reason why we were going back and forth so much is because I think you were kind of like upset a little bit. You was like,
Yeah,
why in the
absolutely.
world
Absolutely.
do they have to slow down? But my thing is, like, if it's not required, because preschool is not required.
It's not.
If it's not required for that to be the standard, I can definitely see it happening where children are going into these kindergartens classes and don't know anything.
Yeah.
And that could be very true for the conversation that I'm having around if you choose to be the stay-at-home parent and don't care nothing about any of that. You just literally at home with them until, it's time. And now you're going to school to be in front of somebody else. They have all these behavioral issues. Their diet is all off. They don't know how to socialize with other kids. And they don't know the basics of like ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. And all of a sudden they're starting off behind the curve.
Yeah, and I don't want to be remiss in missing that people who choose to keep their children at home until they start kindergarten, it's not their job to teach.
Whose job
It's
is it
not their
then?
job to teach like ABCs 1, 2, 3s. I think it's their job to start nourishing and instilling life skills.
Whose job is it
Hold
then?
on, hold on.
I'm sorry, I'm
Life
getting there
skills.
because I'm like,
So the life skills, you don't. I think they will being around numbers and letters and stuff, all of that. Like, not everybody can sit and say, okay, little Timmy, this is how you write an A. People don't have the patience for it. That's why people pay other people to watch their kids. Not everybody has the patience for that. And I don't want to diminish the role of a stay-at-home parent by saying you have to teach them. I'm just saying I think it's hard for me to understand that 5-year-olds are entering public schools with having no recollection of, they can't recognize letters, they can't recognize numbers because it's all around them. Regardless of if they had that parent to sit and say, hey, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Those who don't even have parents who are that involved, they still should have been around numbers and letters.
what I'm asking is how?
Because it's all around us.
So?
Unless they are literally just at home. But we know kids these days are stuck to TV.
But I'm saying the TV can help though.
Right, it can
Screen time
help.
can help.
So that's what I'm saying. Like in those screen times is a way that if you are a parent who's like, I just can't sit here and I don't even know the first thing about teaching. That's where screen time can come on. Put on some Miss Rachel, put on some Danny Go. Like there are educational things available.
Don't zoom past that because there's gonna be people who might be in this position. Name a few of these maybe things that you can watch on screen time that could be helpful for a young child before heading into school.
So Circle Time with Miss Monica. That is a great resource to learn how to, if you want to learn how to structure your day or start to teach, for the parents that's like, I want to start to teach my child how to do things. Circle Time Miss Monica, she says it's a 20-minute program. Here's a letter of the week, a number of the week, a color, this is your weather, this is time. So those are general things that is good to start with. Things that kids are easy for them to recognize. And it's not necessarily, hey, what is this color? It's, hey, this is the green block. Can you walk around the house and find something else that's green? And then let that child go find a green book or a green spoon or a green towel and stuff like that. So you're, instead of saying, talking at the child, you teach them by saying, hey, this is a red pen. This is this. Can you find a red toy? Can you find the red car? Things like that. So, Circle Time, Miss Monica, Miss Rachel. We love us and Miss Rachel. Yeah, we love us and Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel, we love you. You're the goat. Like you.
Our twins.
Oh, Miss Rachel.
Our twins love. They just hear the do 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 do, and then it's
what
like,
part
all
of the
right,
song was that?
This is up.
Oh,
this is down.
See, I'm used to hearing the words.
So they hear the melody.
You're doing the melody. I know this is up.
Yeah. So Miss Rachel, Danny Go is another great.
What would Danny Go be good for? Because I feel like that's a little bit different.
So he started going into educational. So he's done he does math and like addition and subtraction, but his thing is like for brain breaks. That's what I use Danny Go for. Like they just have too much energy. I'm gonna put on Danny Go and they're gonna run past some blocks, or they're gonna juke some.
Let me talk to
ice.
my dads. Everybody has that 5 to 25 minutes right before it's bedtime where you are completely spent, like you are dying, right? Mm-hmm. And you need to just maybe blow that last burst of energy. Yeah. If you haven't heard of Go Danny Go, go on your TV, YouTube, tablet, whatever you got, and put in Go Danny Go, and I'm telling you, you're gonna have so much fun. The music sounds good. He's extremely active. You could be dodging dinosaurs and mud or just completely dancing. The kids are gonna love it. I love it. I know our entire family loves it. If we don't do a long bath time to like break that time up or like squeeze that time into funneling, you know what I'm trying to say. If we don't squeeze that time together before going to bed,
makes it fun.
we do Go Danny Go.
Yeah. Those are my like top 3. Tab Time is another great one.
Amen.
She teaches about nutrition and just another life skills thing. But there are so many resources if you choose to use screen time. And if not, then hey, bring the child in the kitchen with you. The kids will wash the dishes with me. They're not actively washing dishes, but they get their bowls and spoons and they get a little water on their side of the sink, and they are, I have them close to me so that they learn that, hey, yes, we're at home, like, oh, Azai hates this when he's not going to school. So if there's a day when he's like, oh, I'm sick, I'm like, okay, you can stay at home with me, but he expects to sit and watch TV all day because he thinks it's a weekend, or he wants to just play. But I'm like, no, this is not what we do all day. You might think that because you're like, you leave and you come home and you might see stuff all over the place, but it does not mean that we weren't productive. So I'll put him, hey, you're gonna do this. This is what we do as a family. You're gonna fold some laundry. So sit here. You can match socks. That's a good thing that I do with Avery. He's 3, so like those those socks that never find a home, I just have a big old bag, and I'll empty that bag and like, all right, Avery, find a pair. Which one looks like which? So it's things that ways that I'm teaching them without being over their shoulder, being like, this is this. It's like it's inviting them to learn while still treasuring just our home and building something into them. Like, hey, this is a life skill. You're gonna have to do laundry one day, or you're gonna have to pay somebody to do it for you.
Yeah, if you got it like that. I mean, I don't
if you
got it
got
like
it,
that.
sure. I pray that my boys will have it like that. Right now,
I pray we have it like that. I don't want us to be doing. Tiana, I hate.
You don't do that much laundry.
I do my laundry. At this point, you just made me do mine, and I'm fine with that. It's got to the point where like I don't fold anything, so everything I own is hung up. Like my shirts, my pants, my shorts. I hate just folding, and I don't think I don't think anybody really enjoys doing.
Yeah, but I mean, so it's the life skill. So you know how to do it. Just because you don't choose to do it, you want to pay somebody to do it, fine. But at least I'm teaching you how to do it, so you will be able to take care of yourself.
I think sometimes we don't appreciate how much we need to slow down sometimes and just show them some of the life skills.
Yeah.
Because it's things that we're doing every single day. Like, I think just like cracking an egg and learning what it looks like, what it sounds like when you crack it, just how to whip it up, make scrambled eggs. It doesn't really matter the age. Like, I can literally start with maybe not the twins, right? But maybe Avery, he may not be able to go over a hot stove and do those things, but just inviting him into what we're doing in everyday life could be extremely overlooked sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do got to slow down and do that.
Yeah. And I think that is one thing to just focus on, because it could be easy to say, no, get out of the kitchen. Like, kids, stay out of the kitchen. But when there are certain things like making pancakes, they all make pancakes with us. The twins 1 years old, they can grab a spatula.
They're not gonna be doing that motion you doing right there.
They won't, but I can guide their hand. And another thing that, in the mornings when I have everybody downstairs with me, I just take big mixing bowls and I throw some cereal in the bowls for the twins, and y'all gonna practice moving your cereal from one bowl to the other. So there are ways to invite the children into the kitchen, into doing laundry. There are things like, you can invite them so that they aren't afraid or be like, that's not my position, or that's something that mom does. Only mom does that. Our boys, we're not raising them to be like that.
No, heck no. Yeah, we're not doing that. And don't get me wrong. I understand that there's different responsibilities that different people have, and I agree. We hold open the door for ladies. Like, we still teach that, but it's not like we not gonna learn this or not gonna do that because this is what girls do or what women do. Like, that's not something that we teach in our house. Our family values are set up very differently, and also our goals. Like, because we're just having this conversation, it reminded me that I put into one of my goals for this year to just appreciate the age that our kids are in right now
Mm-hmm.
and really slow down and invite them into what we're doing. So if I'm taking a picture and Avery just wants to play on my phone,
Yeah.
I'm slowing him down. I'm like showing him where the little grid lines are,
Mm-hmm.
how to press record. I'm trying to think for
Yeah, and he did that yesterday.
yeah,
He grabbed my phone at a Zai's basketball game, and I thought he was going to turn on one of his apps, and he opened the camera and tried
yeah.
to. He was saying "Go Zaza" while he was recording the floor, but he was
Yeah, he
trying.
was trying to watch him play basketball. But yeah, I'm gonna be intentional about slowing down this
Mhm.
year. Really appreciate where they are and inviting them into what we're doing. And I guess this rolls into our next segment about just like understanding what this new year looks like for us and for families to really sit down and have a conversation about what are your goals. Like
Yeah.
I think for fathers, a lot of times we like build so much pressure around what we have to provide, what we have to do,
Mhm.
and like our jobs and like balancing all these things that we don't oftentimes slow down to talk to people, to journal, and to really write down what our vision and our goal looks like,
Mhm.
even if you have to break it down one quarter at a time, 1 month at a time, or the full year. So I want to slow down first and
Yeah.
appreciate you and the time that you took because you did something this year that we've never done before.
Mhm.
It was real cool,
Yeah.
real sexy. I remember I put the twins down.
The big boys.
I put the yeah, okay, you put the twins down. I put the big
I'm
boys
like,
down.
those. That's your task
Yeah,
at
yeah,
night. The
yeah.
big
You do the
boys.
twins and I do the big boys. So I put the big
All
boys
that
down.
energy.
And of course, I thought Avery was gonna get up because he always gets back up. But it was pitch black in there, like pitch black. As soon as I closed the door, and I just saw like this one little white flashing light, like a lighthouse. I was like, "What in the world is going on?" You usually either in the bed or you're downstairs because it's like what 8:30, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Yep.
So I see this white flashing light. So I'm following the white flashing light, and I'm like, okay, is this an SOS call? Like, is she hurting? Like, so I go into the room. You're in the guest room, and it's still pitch black. And I see like this one little flicker of light, and I'm like, oh, okay, she got a little is something on fire. Okay, it's a
It was a
candle.
candle.
It's a
You building
candle.
this thing
I'm
this
just
big.
saying, no, because I didn't know what was going on. I was so lost, right? You got the little candle light on, and then I look over, and we got that couch bed. And you
Mm-hmm.
had like the little Netflix got like a little fireplace. If you ain't seen that, Netflix got a little fireplace that they play on there. Got the little crackling and stuff. It's real nice. It's real nice.
Just a
There's no,
fire. Yeah.
what is it called? Just called fireplace.
Fireplace.
So you got that. You got a charcuterie board out.
Mm-hmm.
You got a couple journals, a glass of wine. And I ain't gonna tell them what you had on, but you had something nice
Oh
on.
my god.
And I was like, we're having like what? Like what? I was like, what I forget? I was like, is this a? Did I forget our anniversary? No, it's January. Her birthday's not for a couple months. And then I realized that you set up time for us to talk about our goals. You
Mm-hmm.
laid out these two thick like magazines that were
Yep.
for building your vision board.
Vision board. Yep.
And that was probably we did that for about 2.5 hours that night. The next day, we went and sat down and had coffee and we wrote down more of our goals. We put things into our calendar. But just that amount of time together was so intimate just to write something down, glue it, put it on our journal, and then have a conversation about what we want to do
Right.
for the family and what we want to do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that because sometimes we see little dainty, cute things on the internet. For guys, we're like, man, they ain't doing that. They're just doing that for, they're just being influencers, right? But we were being intentional.
Yeah.
You were being intentional, and we got the chance to do that together. So thank you. That was beautiful. I loved it.
No problem. I'm glad you participated.
Yeah. That was
I'm saying that because I like to journal and I like to I'm structured and I love planning and having a calendar and all the things has to be have a space so that I'm not forgetting anything. But I watched you and your sister last year. Y'all made vision boards. I was kind of a part of it, but I didn't really get to actually making it because it was like a digital one. I was like, I'm gonna lose that picture anyway. So that was that. But I watched y'all check off everything that you had planned last year.
we did.
Y'all checked it off, and I think
Probably missed like one or two things.
Yeah, but in October of 2023, I mentioned it to y'all. I was like, "Hey, I am very proud of you because you set goals and y'all literally did majority of what you said you're gonna do." And I said I didn't want to miss it. And so as a way for me not to miss it was me starting off. But yeah, like we had a vision board night, like where um I worked on my stuff and we had different topics that we discuss. So family, traveling is something big that's on us. Careers, finances. What are your goals for finances? How much money do you want to save? How much debt do you want to pay off? Do you want to have? Are there any big purchases? Like we're going to buy a new house this year. So stuff like that. It's important for us to one know how we feel as individuals, and then be able to come together and verbalize and have a discussion between each other. Like, hey, look, this is realistic, but Tiana, you got to stop spending
Yeah.
over here.
I never say that.
Right, but
I might want that, but
it's the
I never say
idea.
that.
It's the idea that now we are both on the same page. We know kind of where we're going. I think that that is a testament to you started off.
I guess somebody got mad at somebody that's spending that money. I'm gonna go ahead, but while we fix that, I want to at least talk about some of the fatherhood goals that I have for the year. One, I put prioritize quality time. Like I realized that I was kind of like going into having fun with the kids, but it was all about what I wanted to do. Like I want to watch Dragon Ball Z, so this is something that me and you gonna do as I because I want to do it. Or Avery, like I'm choosing whatever I'm doing, and I'm choosing the times that I'm doing it, and I'm not really always in it. Now I'm gonna try to do a better job at like really prioritizing quality time when I get in the house. This next 25 minutes is for the kids. Whatever they ask me to do, that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be in it. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna figure it out. Like I'm gonna prioritize that. Number two was be a positive role model. Like I want the kids to see me compliment people out in town more. I want them to see me help you around the house more. I want them to see me not just be dad and follow me because I'm dad, follow me because I'm a good role model.
Right.
Number three was active listening. I got to do a better job at that, like all together, like actually listening, not listening to respond. And I do that with you and I do that with other people sometimes too. So I'm working on that. But also listening to Azai. Sometimes at that age, man, 5-year-olds, they just be talking.
Yeah.
T. And they be like, Daddy, you remember when and then they trying to remember my I'm like, Azai, slow down. And at that point, I've already moved on. So I'm gonna do a better job at like actually trying to listen to what he's saying and engage myself into it. 4 was balance work and family. This is something I've been trying to do for a long time. I think I've done a better job of it last year, but now as I've added these new hobbies like podcasting and stuff, it gets harder. So I'm gonna do a better job at that. And then the last one was encourage independence. I started encouraging independence more and better when as I got to an age where he could help. But I have not been encouraging independence for Avery. Everything's been Azai, help Avery do this, help mommy do that, go get this, go get that. So I'm gonna encourage independence for all 4 of the kids. Them twins, they're gonna have to figure it out sometime too.
But they know.
They don't know. Do you remember the last time I tried to hold that little yogurt pouch for Noel?
They are learning how to understand. Okay. So you can tell them, come here. Once you model it for them, they are understanding. So they know, come here.
But them twins smart, bro. Don't let them play you. Don't let them play you, bro.
They are smart. They are smart 1-year-olds. Look.
All
I
babies
spend all day with them. I know.
Babies be smart. They be trying to have you hold their cups and their bottles for them, and they know they can do it.
Yeah. One thing that I don't want to move past before, I want to make sure that I acknowledge that you said it earlier, that the man, you have the weight of the world on your shoulder. Like you are the standard bearer for the family. And oftentimes men are the breadwinners, dads, first dads that are actively involved in the household, in the children's lives. I think we were talking about that on the way over here. Like is not always the standard, even though to us it should be. The expectations of fathers is skewed oftentimes, but I do want to acknowledge that you are the best leader that I know. And it's like almost to the point where I say telling you this all the time, like, hey, you're not at work. Like, look,
yeah. And I don't be trying to be
okay,
doing
pump
that,
your
but yeah.
brakes. Like, you at home now, Lieutenant.
Oh no, you.
But it is, I never want you to feel like um, I don't value what you bring to the household. And I always want you to know how much you matter and mean to us. So, of course, you love when the boys run to you and they hear the door open and they know it's you. The daddies, all
Yeah.
that is precious and thing. But the purpose of me doing the vision board is because you set the vision for our family. That's first and foremost. Like the in our household, and our values is, hey, you are the leader of our house, and the purpose of doing that was for us to get on the same page. Hey, you set the goals. You mentioned you created a lot of the topics for us, and you drove the vision board. Yeah, I put the stuff together and I ordered the stuff on Amazon. It had the pens and the little tape and the scissors. I put everything together, but it was so that you could set the clear vision for us, and now I know how exactly to align my goals and the things that I want personally, so that we can continue to move as a purposeful unit throughout this whole year. And
Amen
I
to
think
that.
that's important.
No, it is important, and more importantly, there's a lot of guys, let's say young guys, right? Because it always, I mean, it starts there. You want somebody to lead, like you enjoy being in the place where somebody's trusting you to lead. In leading, you have to know what your quote unquote followers want and need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always easy. Sometimes you have to communicate that. Sometimes you got to ask. Sometimes you got to pay attention. So these are things that I've been navigating as a father, as a husband in the house, and I haven't always done a good job at it. But I haven't quit, and you haven't quit on me. And that's something that I appreciate, because you can just be like, this nigga don't never listen.
Oh.
No, I'm just saying, no, I'm saying in your head. That's not what you sound like in your head.
No.
Well, that's what in my head. That's what I think you sound like in your head. This nigga don't never listen, and I'm done following behind somebody who doesn't care about me. I'm done following behind somebody who puts himself first every single time. I'm done like with somebody who doesn't listen, because I've seen in marriages this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be there. So you getting a chance and me getting a chance to slow down and have the conversation, and for me to hear your heart, for us to align with what it really looks like so that things are realistic, is extremely helpful. And I get to share with you, like, yeah, babe, this is a lot of pressure on me. Like, I feel like this, and that. And then we can say, okay, like, where can I relieve that pressure?
Yeah.
Same way the other way around. Like, we were having conversations about Avery and if we should start school with him, like this past year. Part of it was he needs to go get socialized. We want him to have a little bit more educational background. The thing is, you were already doing a great job of doing that. But the other part was like, hey, babe, we got twins, and this is starting to become a lot. Like, with potty training him, with taking him places, just having him in school for just a few hours will be helpful.
Yeah, and so that's where we pivoted.
Yeah, and it's because we had those conversations.
Yeah.
And thank you for communicating with me.
Yeah. I mean, well, thanks for, you probably didn't have to, you saw how overwhelming just bringing the twins into the home was. But allowing me to still stay at home, actually allowing me, but getting on the same page that, hey, look, let's find a program that still allows Avery to stay at home, but it's a Mother's Day out program. So it's 6 hours a week, and it's the structure that he needs. And it also keeps me focused on meeting the developmental needs of where 3-year-olds should be. So I'm not trying to teach him how the Pythagorean theorem right now, right?
Hey,
but
I used to call that thing the therm. I could never say it right.
But it is fact checking me and making sure that, hey, look, he's 3. He he don't have to be learning how to write his name right now, but let him play in the Play-Doh and learn how different textures feel, or let him hold a crayon. He's not supposed to be coloring in between the lines right now, but you just want to know, like for 3-year-olds, it should be the difference in shading. So they need to learn how to firmly hold a crayon, and the darker they color, the better their hand grip should be. So it's that thing. Like the twins are coloring light right now because they don't understand pressure, but it's things that it's things that is keeping me in track because I have the standard.
Yeah.
But I think that's important that, hey, look, in life or as a dad, um, y'all are the standard bearers.
you just uh you just said a word that just triggered me back to the conversation we're having in the car. And I wasn't even gonna bring it up because I don't even know this is even around what we were even deciding to have a conversation about. But I do want to talk about it because you talked about standard. There's two things that I want to talk about before I guess we end this podcast and like move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them is around standards, and the other one is how and why like fathers should do a better job at like uplifting each other and like going
Mm-hmm.
out of our way to say you're doing a good job. And I'll show you how I'm going to bridge those. But standards are extremely important. We had a little sister of ours who we always just go back and forth, just having conversations in the car. You share with me. You might have to maybe put it back in words or tell me if I'm kind of saying it wrong. And I'll just kind of summarize it. She was basically saying like, we're talking about black men and how there's been this narrative that's always kind of been there, but it seems like it's being bought into more, that we are allowing and just being okay with a standard that's extremely low.
Mm-hmm.
And fathers are sometimes, or black fathers, may be accepting it sometimes because that's what they hear, or people outside of the community of black men, black fathers, are perpetuating this narrative and getting it out there as if it's true when it all in actuality may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
She was just saying like, do the black men know that this is happening? Like, do they
Mm-hmm.
know that there's women and groups of women out there, black women, who are saying like, I'm tired of dealing with them. I don't want, like, it's better for me to
Yeah,
just
writing them off.
move on to another race because they don't care and it doesn't seem like they want to care. Their standard is too low, or hey girl, your standard is too high for black men, like move on.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt me so bad to just hear her, to hear that. I'm glad that she brought the discussion up and the question up, but it hurt me so bad to hear that because one, I am raising 4 black men,
Mm-hmm.
4 black young men, right there, the little boys now, babies, whatever but they're gonna move in there. I don't consider myself to be in that space. And 3, I know so many fathers, black men, black
That are
fathers
good
that
fathers.
care a lot. And they really do. And I think the reason why we may have this issue or this narrative is still floating is either because we're not putting ourselves out there to show them, to show everybody like, hey, we ain't on that. Like, we care about our families. We
Mm-hmm.
care about what we do, where we move. We care about our education. We care about our kids. We're investing
Mm-hmm.
this time. Like, I love when we show that. And I also feel like we don't invest the time in the, maybe the guys that are younger who
Mm-hmm.
aren't yet dads or aren't yet the men, they're the boys, and just telling them like, hey, bro, that's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or telling your homeboy, hey, bro, that's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you saying you don't wanna be there for you, but that's not cool. Make that the standard. So I just talked a lot. I'll let you get into it a little bit, but that it touched me. As soon as you said the word standard, that's the first thing I thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so shout out to Armand Banks and Father's Day Club. You guys are gonna hear from Father's Day Club soon. We talked about that a little bit, and that narrative is that's not it anymore.
Yeah. I think it is an accountability thing. It's sad that people are they are feeling okay with saying that, oh, just move on, find a different race of men. It's sad that they're collectively grouping people, but it's like the standard for black men is low. the standards for Black fathers is even lower, because it's like, a lot of people, you just say, like, they don't even expect you to be in kids' lives,
Yeah. You
because
show
that
up and they're
is,
like, "Oh my god, oh you look so I can't. It's so nice
yeah,
to see you with your like see Black men with their kids and or a father."
yeah,
I
they
hate
act
hearing
like
that.
a father who's present in their kid's life is an anomaly.
Yeah, like
It's
it's something to
not.
be like over the moon about.
Yeah, and I can say that yes, there's a lot of people in our community, in the Black community, that aren't present fathers, but I think it's what they were around. What is your society saying about being a father? And I was going to ask you this earlier, but who are they teaching? Who are teaching? Who's teaching them how to be a father?
Hmm.
Who are they learning from, or what is around them that is showing them, hey, becoming a father is a grand task. It's not going to be easy. Becoming a mom is not easy. Becoming a wife is not easy. A husband. These are not easy roles to move into. And so sometimes I think it is, an added pressure that can feel overwhelming, because it's like, oh, well, I don't even know what to do with this. So I'm just going to stay away from it. Or I don't even know how to react. So I'm just going to, take the easy way out, because there's not necessarily a standard within the community for Black fathers to be present. And so when you do see a Black father as present, it's like, oh wow,
It's so
Meyer
cool.
takes his kids to the doctor.
Yeah,
Wow, like you do more than just sporting events. Yeah,
yeah,
you take the kids to speech therapy. Yes, you ask for referrals. Yes,
yeah.
like you do these things. You go to the library with the kids. Yes.
And I do not expect a round of applause. Do these things as a father because you're the father. Do these things as a mother because you're a mother,
Yeah.
and do not expect like to be applauded for it.
Yeah.
Like that needs to become the norm in many families. It already is. Make everybody known. Like let everybody know this.
Yeah, this is how you can help our family unit.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, sure, sometimes it's easier to just take Avery to speech therapy
Oh yeah,
instead of being at home with the other three.
yeah, yeah. That's still a thing.
Or
Balance is still a thing here. Okay?
or it's easier to just, hey babe, you want me to go to the grocery store? I'm like, yeah, sure, Meyer, go to the grocery store and I'll handle what's at home. Um, but it's knowing that, that there are certain expectations that I have of you, that is not just because you're Black, but it's because you're a father. Like, let's forget all the extra stuff that I know is who you identify are and who you are, but first and foremost, you're a father.
Mhm.
And this is something that I think is okay for us to expect out of fathers. So getting back to the original question, it's sad that people have such a low expectation, and I think that you can change it by doing what you said. Like, hey, you see a dad out, just compliment them. Like, we do it all the time. I see somebody with some beautiful natural hair, I'm like, oh wow, like, what did you do? Like, I am acknowledging the effort that you put into doing or achieving whatever it is that you achieve. I know that it's not easy taking all the kids to the zoo, but hey, I see that dad, I see him struggling. I'm going to acknowledge that fact. I'm not going to sit here and be like, ooh, like they are crying, screaming, baby. No, it's you acknowledging the effort that they're putting forward to be present.
Yeah. And I love how you literally just beautifully went into the second part of what I was talking about. First was the standards, and the second part is just not only holding like keeping each other accountable from father to father, but also compliment each other, helping each other out, being there, helping another father feel seen.
Mhm.
Kier Gaines on Instagram, we were just having a very short conversation in the comments. If you haven't followed him, great father, great man, please go follow him on Instagram. But we were just having that very short conversation, and he had just posted about he was at an airport, he was with his little girl. I think they were going on travel, about to go on a plane. She needed to use the bathroom.
Mhm.
He didn't feel comfortable taking her into the women's bathroom. And he was like, okay, I feel more comfortable taking her to the men's. Now, the stall they were going into, somebody came out and it was really dirty. It was really smelly. And there was another father who was a janitor who was heading on his way out. He saw he was bringing his baby girl in there. And he stopped what he was doing to be like, hey, bro, like, you want me to go in there, kind of freshen up, clean up in there?
Mhm.
And in that moment, Kier just felt like very seen. He was like, "Of course, man. Like, please, like, thank you for doing that." He was like, "Man, I got a little girl. I've been in that position before. This is like the least I can do." And just like in that moment, dude didn't have to do that. Like, I understand it's his job, but he didn't have to do that right then and there. And in the comments, I had other dads just hopping in and responding to what I put in, just saying like, hey, we got to do a better job of just reaching out and helping each other when we can. Like in the grocery store, you see a dad's got too much on his plate, right, with multiple kids. How can you help him? You see a dude with a fresh cut. Hey man, man, when you go to the barber, man, you look good.
Yeah.
Hey man, I like that sweatshirt, like those shoes. Hey, bro, like you can do these things to help other dads or to be more accountable father to father. Instead of just going on about your day because you got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Like it's helpful when you feel seen. And I know this is something that you guys might see in the more social media space. That's something that you experience just out in town when you see other mothers. Is this uncommon for you guys?
I don't know. It just started becoming more real to me after having the twins and having to continue because life still goes on no matter what. I can't just sit at home and do nothing. So it honestly came from the negative. People always saying, "Oh, you got your hands full," or "4 kids, y'all done," or like just them expecting dad to not be around. And then I flash a ring and they're like, "Oh, she is married." But it's like
better flash that thing, baby.
it's like it came from a negative place. Like instead of you saying how much is on my plate, just compliment me. Just say, "Man, you got all the kids stressing out the house. You go, mom." That can instantly change the whole day. You don't know that I went through 15 pairs of clothes and this one forgot his shoes, so I had to stop at Target to go. You don't know all that it took, but I just by you stopping and complimenting means that, hey, look, somebody's noticing the work that you're doing. I think that is something that's important, that no matter what, like it takes 2 seconds to just make a compliment.
Yeah. Random act of kindness sometimes
Yeah.
is all it takes. Babe, I don't even know if we talked about anything we really wanted to talk about or that I plan to talk about. But this is how it is when we're at the house too. So
Yeah.
you guys got an extremely candid conversation from the both of us. I'm gonna continue to do this. I know maybe some of you guys are like, she ain't no daddy. Why she on here, man? I want to hear from dads. I need some advice. Well, you can learn from a woman too. You can learn from your spouse. You can learn from a mother. You should be learning from any and everybody. You should be learning every day. So thank you for being here with me, babe. I love you. I can't wait to do this again.
No problem.
Happy
Thanks for having me.
Here for the Dads.
Here for the Dads.
Out. Thank you for watching. You just listened to Here for the Dads podcast with Meyer Crawl. I am so grateful that you're here. But if you're new to this space, what I need you to do is slow down and subscribe, share, review, or rate. Whatever you can to help me out, because I'm on a journey to create a space for existing fathers and new fathers that's going to allow them to be a little bit more confident and a little bit more efficient at what they're doing. Thank you.